Fall is nearly upon us, and I am so excited because now is the time where I start to bring out my heavy hitters, my more dense, spicy, woody, sweeter fragrances that I wouldn't reach for in the summer. Now is the time, and I've got a list of 5 fragrances for you that I'm gonna be wearing all autumn long. Before I hop into the list, I have got to know, what are some of your favorite fall fragrances to wear? If you don't see some on this list, I'd love to know what I missed, what I need to check out in the future. Let's get a conversation started down in the comments section. First up is a fragrance that gets talked about a ton in the fragrance community, especially online, and I'm talking about Tuxedo by Yves Saint Laurent. This is a smooth, boozy vanilla. It's very seductive. It is one of the sexiest fragrances in this line by YSL. This is actually my favorite fragrance and, in my opinion, the best fragrance from the line. I almost liken this to a more interesting version of a fragrance like Dolce & Gabbana The One. It has that very seductive evening wear type of a feel to it. This is a fragrance also that's very versatile when it comes to the autumn. I think you can pull this off day or night. I think this is probably a bit more nighttime appropriate. But one thing I love about this fragrance is the violet leaf that is in here. It is quite dominant, especially in the first hour or two. You get a ton of violet leaf. It's a very smooth smelling fragrance, but you also get things like coriander, you get bourbon vanilla, black pepper, patchouli, and all of these make for a very luxurious wearing experience. This is dark and masculine, but the scent profile is not hard to love, and I think that that is why a lot of women seem to love this fragrance. I have yet to meet either man or woman that really detests this fragrance or doesn't like it. It gets a positive reaction almost every time. It's one that now that I have a bottle in my collection, I will be wearing this fall a whole lot and every fall moving forward. Tuxedo by YSL, an amazing fragrance. Next on the list, we have a fragrance from a brand that is rising quickly in popularity. I'm seeing them everywhere. I'm seeing them talked about all over the place, and I believe it's for good reason. I have 2 of their fragrances and enjoy them both quite a bit. But the one that made this list is Signature Tobacco by Zaharoff. I'm loving this fragrance a ton, and I love tobacco fragrances. Absolutely love it. Tobacco Vanille was really the first fragrance, Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford, was the first fragrance that I got my nose on that was a more tobacco dominant fragrance. But I always thought to myself, or found myself wanting something that had a bit more of a prominent tobacco note, that was a bit drier, less sickly, sweet, and kind of sticky and syrupy. I think that that does happen here to an extent with the honey, but it never gets overly sweet, and it remains focused on the tobacco, which I really love. What you're gonna get out of this is a very dry, kind of a pipe tobacco smell. So anytime I have a couple friends that smoke pipes, anytime I get a whiff of the bag of tobacco that they are carrying around, my goodness, it smells so good. And as a fragrance connoisseur who loves tobacco, just that natural smelling tobacco is so pleasing to the nostrils, and this is right up that alley. So you definitely get a very realistic tobacco note that dominates this fragrance, but you also have rum in this, which adds a bit of a boozy sweetness, especially to the top notes. But you also have amber, you have plum, you have vanilla in the base. We've got some cedar wood, some oud in this. I don't pick up a ton of oud in this, but either way, this is just a strong, beastly tobacco fragrance that just screams fall. It smells so much like fall. I am ready to make some memories with this fragrance this autumn season, and I highly recommend that you check out Signature Tobacco by Zaharoff. Another brand that is quickly rising up the ranks when it comes to the fragrance community is Primera Perfumes. Now, Lion Oud is next up on the list. This is probably my favorite fragrance. This and Smoky Jazz are my favorite fragrances from this line. And Lion Oud, gosh, it depends on the day. Either this could be #1 or Smoky Jazz could be #1. Smoky Jazz is very, very intense. This is a little bit less intense, although still intense, but I want to wear this for the fall. I just feel like it fits that whole theme of autumn very perfectly. Oud is in here 100%. You can smell it, but it is not going to be that animalic, doo-doo, Band-Aid smelling oud. This is an extremely approachable and a pleasant smelling oud. You've got things like orange and dried fruits and some different nuances that kind of balance out that oud note, and the oud just kind of wraps its arms around all the other notes in the fragrance. And you do pick up on the oud, but again, this is not gonna be offensive. This is gonna be a big compliment getter due to the performance. I think this is 8 to 10 plus hours. And overall, you're just gonna get a very smooth, well-rounded oud with some gourmand touches. Although I have to say, for you gourmand lovers out there, I'm not a big gourmand person, and I think this has touches of a gourmand, but it does not lean overly gourmand. It just has some of those fruitier, dried fruits nuances in there, some spices in there. You also get salted caramel in here, which I think is a very interesting and intriguing note that I can't think of a fragrance I own that has the note of salted caramel. But now I have this. This is my one and only, and I'm just absolutely loving this. I also cannot compare this to anything else that I have smelled. So if you're wanting a unique, long-lasting oud fragrance for the cool temperatures, check out Lion Oud by Primera Perfumes. If you've been following this channel for any length of time, this next fragrance on the list will come as no surprise to you. This is Baraonda by Nasamato. This is a boozy, hyper boozy, like photorealistic whiskey fragrance that is one of the best that I have ever smelled. The company doesn't officially list any notes for their fragrances. Nasamato is pretty notorious for that, but just what I get out of it is, again, that photorealistic whiskey note, which has become a signature of this fragrance, but you also get a woody aspect, you get some dried fruit aspect to it, and as it dries down, I get this very fluffy, musky feel that just goes perfectly with the booze in this fragrance. It is such a magical release from Nasamato, one of my favorites of all time, certainly one of my favorites from the house of Nasamato. If you guys love the fragrance Pure Malt by Thierry Mugler, this is one that I recommend that you check out. This is a much higher price point, but I think that it is, in terms of performance and uniqueness, I believe it is worth the price. You might be able to find this discounted somewhere, although I recommend buying from the source. But this is just an intoxicating fragrance with an incredible scent trail. I love this one so much. I'm gonna be rocking this all autumn long. Baraonda by Nasamato. And rounding out the list, we have a fragrance from the company Nishan. This is Fan Your Flames. I'm gonna read the notes off real quick. They're right on the front of the bottle. We've got coconut, rum, tobacco, tonka, oak moss, and Chinese cedarwood. That just is fall in a note list right there, and this is just awesome. I do think you can wear this or get away with it all year round. It's very intense and a bit sweet, so watch your sprays during the hotter months. But this fragrance, booze is a very common theme. I'm not sure why. I love boozy fragrances, and I think for fall they just fit right in. That you want something cozy, you want something inviting, and this is one that does just that. It's also a big compliment getter. It seems like almost every time I wear this, I get a compliment on it. It's also one that I love to wear in the beginning of fall because it kind of has a tropical feel to it, and I'm gonna attribute that to the coconut in here. I think that, you know, as summer dies down and fall ramps up, you know, I kind of miss some of that warm weather, some of those tropical vibes. And while this isn't an overly tropical fragrance, it has touches of a tropical feel, and I absolutely love that, and it makes it unique to any fragrance on this list. This certainly has a sweet feel to it. I believe that's coming from the rum, and it's also coming from the tonka that is in the base, just to add a nice sweetness to that boozy tobacco kind of a feel. Just awesome. Last thing I'll say about this fragrance is that it's very well blended. None of these notes that are listed really pop off of my skin more than the other. It is just a very nicely balanced fragrance. The only thing I detect as it dries down is I get a big dose of that cedarwood that is in the base. You get that nice, like, Molecule 01 ISO-y super base that pairs beautifully with the other notes in this fragrance. I love it so much. One of the best from Nishan. Fan Your Flames. Thank you guys so much for watching my top 5 fragrances for fall of 2023. Once again, please leave me a comment down in the comment section. Let me know what fragrances that you think I should check out that maybe you don't see here. And also I wanna know what it is that you guys are wearing in the autumn seasons, in the cooler temperatures. Let me know, let's get that conversation started down in the comment section, and I'll see y'all soon.